Let me start my questions with Dr. Myron. Dr. Myron, obviously, your predecessor, Dr. Bernstein, advocated for extreme policies like the Green New Deal and, frankly, the spending bills, the American Rescue Plan. First bill out of the chute, $1.9 trillion, I believe led to the 9% inflation that we experienced in the summer of 21. How will your recommendations differ from your predecessor?
Thank you, Senator. One of the core principles of economic management of the economy is that economic policy should, as economists say, lean against the wind. That means that when the economy is in a rut, policy should support it with some stimulus to get it out of the rut, to boost employment and stabilize, and stabilize the economy. And when the economy is soaring, well above potential where it could be, that policy should hold back a bit, right? Now, if you look at what happened, the story of stimulus and throughout the COVID experience, when Congress passed the CARES Act, the output gap, the size of the hole in the economy, was about 10% of the economy, right? The size of the CARES Act was roughly similarly sized, so that was appropriate. By the time we get to the American Rescue Plan, the output gap is just about narrowed. It's only about a percentage point of the economy. So following it up with another stimulus package of roughly similar size was an economics 101 style error, and of course the inflation that we experienced was problematic. My advice, if confirmed, will be to follow the traditional wisdom of leaning against the wind.
Thank you for being succinct. Dr. Byron, as you know, I'm a huge fan of the opportunity zones, and I think that when you think about the overall housing issue, I think opportunity zones could play a significant role. Thoughts?
Thank you. I agree. And President Trump is indeed a strong supporter of opportunity zones, and for good reason. The best available studies to date indicate they've spurred a significant investment into less privileged areas, fast approaching $100 billion, and reached a larger share of the nation's low-income communities than any comparable program over such a short period of time. Indeed, opportunity zones are now reflect 20% of all market rate apartment unit development nationwide in recent years, in contrast to only 8% before TCGA. We're talking hundreds of thousands of new units. We need more research on opportunity zones and more action extending opportunity zones to help address the housing affordability crisis.
Thank you. Mr. Kessler, you and I had a great conversation. I really appreciate your willingness to serve. Talking about American economic supremacy, from my perspective, means that we have to be superior from a technological perspective. How do export controls help us, especially with China, who I would consider they lie, they cheat, they steal, and they take our technologies to use against us? How do we use export controls to achieve our objectives?
Well, thank you, Chairman Scott. And yeah, it was a great conversation. I appreciate it. Export controls are one critical tool in America's policy toolkit for ensuring continued technological leadership and technological supremacy. And it's part of the mandate, of course, of BIS to pursue that goal. It's up to BIS to ensure that exports prevent the proliferation of weapons, to ensure that we prevent the terrorists from getting dual-use items, to ensure that America preserves its qualitative military superiority, and to protect the defense industrial base. So all of those goals are things that we have to do with export controls. I think part of the challenge for BIS is to be as nimble as our adversaries, to keep pace with them. Our adversaries are sophisticated, and they work hard every day to get around export controls and other rules that America has to prevent them from getting sensitive technologies, and we need to keep up.
Thank you. Mr. Pulte, one of the things I appreciate about your background is that you've had generations in housing, even though you're a young fella. My question for you is, you worked on the Blight Authority, a nonprofit, with Mayor Bing in Detroit, a bipartisan coalition working on behalf of people who desperately needed assistance. How does that inform you about the issues of housing, especially in neighborhoods like the one I grew up in, poverty-stricken, but very smart people, hard workers?
Very good question, and you know the issue better than me, but my experience in some of these urban areas is that there's a lot of drug activity, crime, prostitution in the areas that we were in. And our nonprofit, it was a nonprofit, went in and cleared out these abandoned homes and structures. And what it gave me, Senator, was a deep appreciation for every kid should be able to walk safely to school and not be worried about dangerous buildings or being dragged into a dangerous building and the like. So it gave me a very, very deep understanding for ensuring that every American has the opportunity to have a safe home and a safe neighborhood.
Thank you.